Hi, it's Michael. Welcome to week 10. We're all done. Okay, so I just want to give a quick overview. These videos are just to fill in some gaps that I might see how you guys are doing. Once again, I'm more than happy to do a one-on-one conversation if you have any questions and you can't, kind of do this iteratively through Mural, I completely understand. So don't just reach out to me. And if you wanted to do a class meeting, I know you guys hopefully are getting to know each other. I know that's one of the biggest things that might be difficult in a class like ours. But I've been seeing a little bit of conversation back and forth, and I do hope that you look at each other's work. That's really the goal here, is to learn from others. Um, we're in very meta land right now, but to be clear, your paper is really actually going to be about what we've covered. It's 90% of what we covered in weeks 2 through 8, right? So it's about how did they organize the data, what is the data, and you of course must sign up for the program or the service, and submit data to see what it looks like. And trust me, pictures and things like that are going to be very helpful, and descriptions and lists and so forth. I will also say, go back in time. Most of these services became what they are based on a fairly straightforward, and I will say I know what they are because I was there when they were invented. And they did have a very unique information architecture. All of them did. What is confusing is, as a viewer in 2023, if you're just consuming content, that is not interesting. So I am not interested in really necessarily how well it is as an experience as a consumer. I want to know, how did they build it? That's what this class has been trying to instill in you, is that these decisions and how they built things, you did it. You really did. You may have struggled, you may have found it confusing, but basically you took data and turned it into information. Now, last week we talked about knowledge, which I hope, I asked in CTAC, and let me get to a little story quickly, but I talked a lot about how you should be skeptical. Basically, any sort of rating system has lots of ways to game it, and actually most of the companies that you guys mentioned have worked extremely hard to make it difficult for people to fake something being good, right? They actually go through a lot of work. So just be aware that just because it says it's a 5-star restaurant, it depends upon the context. So remember the text all throughout this, understanding context. Context is the challenge of our debt. It's the biggest challenge we have right now, because the minute we invented the internet, we lost context of a lot of things, and we had to invent these contexts. And the information architect, I think, was very instrumental in helping people not get lost and not get confused and not be misled. So it's a very important role. The skills, I hope you understand, and I want you to demonstrate them in the final. I think everybody did a pretty good job at identifying what it is that the data is, but I do want, definitive. Here, I'm submitting the data, and you'll see what is not necessarily metadata, what is the categorization, what's the taxonomy, what's the organizational ideas that they want you to engage in so that they understand your content. I think 3 of you or more have submitted pictures. I'll let you know, it doesn't have any idea what this picture is. None, right? So how does it know anything? And if you do submit it, how would anyone ever find it? Why would you ever do this? You're supposedly submitting it for some goal. How do they keep you engaged in that goal? And that might be some metadata, like someone saw it and liked it, and that's what I hope is going to happen. By the way, this is the most meta class you'll ever have, because 2 stories. We're going to submit this in one of these platforms. You're going to work on Medium. So if you haven't gone to Medium yet, Medium, I think, is got every principle that we've discussed in it. You'll hopefully find out why we use it. That's the whole point. I would rather teach you why all these things work than how they work. So this isn't a class, you could practice this for the rest of your career. But right now, why would you do it? Why is it important is really critical to me. So in your paper, for one, let's see, should I show you the course site? I was just going to mention, yeah, please go and read this and then read it again, because I don't want you to waste your time. That's all. So it really does give you a blow by blow of how you do it. Your paper should be structured almost in the identical way that we've approached it in class. And like everything else, you're going to share it in Mural, and you can share a draft and we can look it over together and we can make some comments. Trust me, it's the one and other great thing about this is that we can collaborate. And so, the sooner the better that you can do that, that would be great. Now, here's a little meta thing about evaluations. We just saw this week that all of you and most of the world is hooked on ratings, because otherwise how would you sort things? You'd have to know quite a lot, I think. I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard without metadata to help sort things. As we get to wisdom, it's trying to get people to do things. So I'll share with you a story. There is a lot today about intelligent systems, and by the way, if you can get ChatGPT to write your paper, awesome. Go for it. Doesn't bother me at all. I will still want to know, again, how did they do it? I ask a little bit about the tools that we've used. Please this is more for my information, and it's also in CTEC. So here's my story. The first challenge I ever had quite a long time ago was to try to get people to fill out course evaluations. So how do you get people to do something is the topic of this week. Wisdom is that if I had a piece of information such as you did not, and I actually don't know who did what, by the way, in course evaluations, I just know a number. But what I realize is people get a little email, say, please fill out the course evaluations, and nobody really did it. And my goal was to actually get people to do it, and I'm proud to say that I got 95% of I think it was, probably 2,000 students, 95% completed course evaluations. And how did I do it? I set up a routine that bugged them all the time until they did it. So I knew that they programmatically, I knew that they did it or didn't do it. And believe me, this is not a personal thing. I didn't know personally anything. I just set up a routine that said, hey, if this person had a course evaluation complete, stop bugging them. And I will tell you, I if you ever want to know this story, maybe I'll share it in some writings or something, because it was a really fun exercise. Because how do you use knowledge to influence behavior? Now that is something that people may find very disturbing, like that the computer knows something about you. But I think influencing behavior is another great way that we make people's lives better. Hopefully that's what I want you to do with this knowledge, but you're going to have to think it through. Now, is this important last week or this week to your final? Not so much. Only at the very end, you try to think like, hey, would something that you did on, just guessing, Pinterest ever change your mind about something or get you to do something? And with that lens, you could probably be skeptical, that, hey, this is just some stupid computer stuff that we use for fun, right? And that's fine. That keeps it at the information layer, and there's plenty of opportunities to have information. I think TikTok's a really good one. You can spend all day on that thing. But will it influence you? I don't know. Maybe to purchase something. That's an interesting thing. Can you get someone to purchase something through personalized, targeted information? So if that rings a bell to you, that you say, hey, I was just looking and then suddenly I get ads everywhere for this thing. See what I mean? Like that is the personal targeting matrix that we don't have to go too deeply into, but it's all part of information architecture. I viewed this. I have some affinities toward this, that, or the other thing, and you're teaching the computer how to engage with you, and that computer, with the help of an architect, is trying to influence you. So that's what this week is about. So post your paper in progress. I would prefer to have an outline as soon as possible of bits and pieces, perhaps, and just like with everything that we've done, you can keep working on it. I put the due date as next Monday, but Well, I definitely want to see it, 80 or more percent complete by Monday. This is a portfolio piece. I am here to make it as good as possible so that you use this to influence others. And that's what this week's about. Great having you all. Take care.